So we're still kind of making our way into the retreat. The first week there are a few things to attend to, so it's a combination of silence and meditation and a bit of work in the mornings. And this is our last Sunday for a while, until March, that we'll be gathering. And I have looked at the news a little bit, and yeah, it's pretty serious out there. Over here, I'm in the US, and further afield. And I'm aware of how easy it is to feel justified in getting angry, afraid, revengeful. You know, all those things. It's easy to justify those things when we see what's going on. And it's very important to take care of one's heart and mind and body, but heart and mind even more so, actually, because it's what continues the consciousness of the mind stream. So it looks to me like there's some radical harm and injustice going on. Quite shocking, really. And and again, it's easy for the mind to just get caught up in wanting to react. And I think it can be really appropriate to respond, and many people are doing so, which is reassuring, actually. And I guess the way I see things from a little bit of a distance is in terms of the forces. So the forces of greed, hatred and delusion, and the forces of compassion and wisdom. And if we're not thinking in those terms, then very easily greed, hatred and delusion can take over our own heart and mind and start justifying why it's okay. And before we know it, we're just doing things that we would never want to do, and saying things that are causing more harm or more division. And so I think it's very important to reflect on these forces. And to be really honest about what is at play in one's own heart and mind. And be clear about what do you want to nourish, what do you want to feed, what direction do you want to go in. And compassion can be quite feisty. It's not always gentle. Compassion is an appropriate response to things, but it's rooted in an understanding of, I guess you could say, of our common humanity, of our common sentience, and also of the deep delusion of those who are acting out of harm, causing harm to others and to themselves. So compassion isn't just soft and pink and nice. It can be fierce. It can be clear and directive, and the responses from compassion can be powerful, but it isn't motivated by. Those actions are not motivated by hatred or anger or fear. Or sometimes with compassion there might be a little bit of fear in there, but you kind of do it anyway, but the compassion is greater than the fear. And then also the quality of wisdom. And in the Buddhist understanding, wisdom is understanding our inherent interconnectedness, the radical interconnectedness of all things. So that's one way of defining wisdom in Buddhism. It's not just being wise and sort of sagely, but it's also directly understanding and as much as possible living from this truth of our radical interconnectedness, complete and utter interconnectedness with all living things and actually all things, including planets and space and all of that stuff. So we are intrinsically interconnected. So when you bring those two together, the wisdom and compassion, they can inform the way we use our body, speech and mind in a way that it can only be of benefit to ourselves and to others, if we can find that attunement to those intrinsic qualities. And if we're not careful, the kilesas or the obscurations, the poisons of the heart and mind can take over, and we can't see the possibility of goodness and goodness, kindness, beauty. Those things get lost. And the Buddha talks about these two guardians of the world, so hiri and ottappa in Pali. And there's various translations that different people have different resonances with or dislikes of. And hiri is a sense of respect for oneself. It's sometimes also translated as moral shame, which can be a challenging translation. But it's a quality of wanting to take care of one's own actions and intentions, and it's often aligned with the 5 precepts. So living in a way where you're not intentionally, you're intentionally not just causing the destruction of life, not taking what's not given, refraining from sexual misconduct, using truthful speech, refraining from lying, and refraining from intoxicants that confuse and muddle the mind. So it's often hiri is often aligned with those 5 precepts where we don't want to do harm to others. So we're aware, like the first one, not intentionally destroying life, taking life, is understanding that we are all part of each other. We are all part of the same life force, the network of life. And so to intentionally take life is harmful to ourselves and others. Even if others are doing that, to not get pulled down into that level. So that's, with human beings and with smaller beings or larger beings too. And basically taking care of one's own virtuous intention and speech and action. And then ottappa is sometimes described as, so it can be respect for others, which is a sort of clear and quite uplifting translation, and it's sometimes also translated as moral dread. And it's kind of an interesting one. It sounds very, draconian, but it does have that quality a bit. You really, really don't want to do harm to others. You dread the possibility of doing harm. You're just not going to do it, even if you're incited to do it. Even if there's you're provoked, you're going to absolutely just not do that, because you know deeply that it's harmful, and it's harmful to yourself, it's harmful to others, and you don't want to be part of that force of harm in the world. So these two qualities are known as the guardians of the world. And if people have them as good friends, then the world is guarded from their violence and untruthfulness and exploitation, all the things that we see, and all of the horrors that we can see in the news. So when one lives by these qualities, hiri and ottappa, you're not part of perpetuating that mess. And of course, the Buddha isn't. He does, in a way, give us a map of how things could go really well in the world. If everybody just did this and stopped doing that, things would be pretty nice. It's just quite simple, actually. If it wasn't for those forces of greed, hatred and delusion that sneak in. So, he does give us that map, but at the same time he's not promising a perfect world. The Buddha doesn't promise that. He's acknowledging there is suffering, there is dukkha. And he's pointing to the causes of that and how we can either be part of the causes of that or learn how to work with our own internal, the forces in here, the forces that push us around inside of greed, hatred and delusion. They're not ours, actually, they're visitors. But he teaches us how to work with those in such a way, understand them, see them and understand them in such a way that we're not part of we're not adding to the chaos and the harm that is going on in the world. We are not aligned with hiri and ottappa either, with these qualities. They're not about apathy or not caring. They are these guardians of the world. There is care. There needs to be a lot of care, actually. But it's a care that recognises that just putting in more of the same isn't going to bring the solution that we're looking for. And there's the very famous, hopefully well-known phrase from the Buddha: hatred never ceases through hatred, only through non-hate will hatred cease. Sometimes translated as only through love will hatred cease. This is the eternal law. This is the eternal truth. Hatred never ceases through hatred, only through non-hate can hatred cease. This is the eternal truth. And when I first heard, I used to hear the translation of only through love can hatred cease, and I thought that was really beautiful, And then once I heard the translation of only through non-hate can hatred cease, and I was like, why is that translator putting like another hate in there? It's just like just hate, and not hate, and hate. And it felt really, at first, really unpleasant to read that, and then I realised actually that is the translation. Only through non-hate can hatred cease. And when you have that non-hate rather than love, we might have an idea of what that is and feel like everyone just needs to love each other, which would be great, but it's like this, So we might think like, oh, let's all just be loving, and we can for a while, and people are, and there are maybe more nuances to what is not hatred. So compassion is not hatred. Patience is not hatred. Forgiveness, clarity, honesty, there's many things that we could put into that space that non-hatred opens up. Yeah, I'd love to hear a few things. Yes, please.
I just added tolerance.
Tolerance, thank you, yeah. Anyone else? Equanimity. Mm-hmm.
Oh, just not having to be huge.
It doesn't have to be a huge thing.
Would it be like my neighbor had a heart attack this week, and who's going to take her dogs? Oh, I guess I am.
Yeah.
That's what you know, that's what was given to me.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody else may be in a town where there's a lot of violence and they're going to have to do something different. But right now, that's not here. So
Yeah.
being with what shows up.
Yeah, being with what shows up, and it doesn't have to be big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's really important, actually. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging to myself that it's much harder to counter hatred with non-hatred. It's a much harder path.
Yes. Yes.
Because hatred gets so evoked in me with what's going on. It's really difficult not to hate.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So how hard it is to it's much harder to have non-hatred than it is to have hatred.
It's the harder path.
Yes, it's the harder path. Yeah. Initially. Yeah, the harder path. Yeah. Yeah. And then we also do need to be honest, you know, not just to, like, I'm feeling really angry or I'm feeling hatred. And then to reflect, you know, and I feel this is really, really important to reflect on, oh, this is the same stuff. This is the same stuff that's causing all that harm in the world, this hatred. It's not going to help. And it's almost like one's attention, if you can make your awareness, your attention, kind of a crucible within which the feeling of hatred can be transformed into something that's actually, because underneath hate, you know, very close to hatred is love, and it's, you know, it's there's pain there, and there's a sense of wrongness, and, you know, so to see whether you can hold those things in a compassionate awareness that can act as a sort of like as a crucible or a purification container, so you can find the true, the goodness that's there underneath the hatred. There's something good there. Yeah, and compassion, you know, when you look from a perspective of karma, it's much easier for compassion to arise, because you realise that nobody's getting away with anything. There is no getting away with anything. You know, people think they are, and on the legal level they might be, but actually nobody's getting away with anything. So then you can start to really feel compassion for people who think that they are getting away with something. You know, sooner or later you're going to have to feel all that stuff, and that's tough. So it's you know, and we're not going to see you for a month. We won't be open for a month, and so I sort of want to kind of leave you with the work, really, of cultivating your heart and mind, and being really honest, knowing where it's caught up and tight, where there's hatred, where there's fear, where there's anger, greed, whatever it may be, and being really honest about that and tending to it in a way that's where you're not just adding more and more, so that you can, you know, we all have the capacity to experience and to attune to compassion, even fierce compassion, and wisdom that's really clearly seeing the interconnectedness of all of us, of all things, and that includes, you know, past actions. It's like about it's on a sort of physics level, that everything's part of everything else, but it's also the results of past actions that are ripening right now. You know, that's also part of it. So to really explore that in your practice, and gain encouragement where you can. You know, don't only look at the bad stuff, even though it's okay to look at it because it's happening. But there is goodness, there is virtue, there is truthfulness, there's nobility. There is wisdom in this world too. All of those qualities are here. And if you tune into them, then you're strengthening those qualities. It's very important. Generosity with the dogs. Yeah.
Well, we have a great example right now.
With the monks.
I mean,
Bless their
when
hearts.
I start to go astray, it just, when you get back, that just feeds my focus, and it, I don't know, just, it's a gift. It's a huge gift.
Amazing. Yeah, the Walk for Peace monks. Has anybody not heard of them? Has everybody heard of them? You haven't heard? So check them out. If they're on, I mean, they're on social media. They're on Facebook and Instagram, I think, and they're and YouTube. Yeah, that's right. YouTube. That's right. YouTube, and on various newsreels. This is a group of 19 monks, Theravada Buddhist monks from Southeast Asian countries who live in America, and their dog Aloka, who is a rescue dog from India. He was a stray dog in India, and they're walking for peace. So they're walking through the southern states for peace. They started, I think, like 92 days ago or something like that. And in the beginning, they were, you know, they'd have some people who would come out and see them, and then others would be throwing things at them, throwing rocks, lemons, bitter gourds. You know, he's specific about what they are. Then after a while, he said, "Well, we don't get upset with them. No, they shout things at us, and then they throw these things, but we don't get upset about them. We just cook those bitter gourds and eat them." And then when they shout at us, we just say, "May you be well, may you be peaceful, may you be happy." So they've been doing this for 92 days, 91, 92 days now, and two of them also don't wear shoes, which is kind of wild at this time of year. But two of them are only in either barefoot or in socks, and those two, they don't lay down either. They don't lay down at night. So they walk 20, 25, 30 miles in all weathers for peace, you know, for peace, as a symbol of peace. And then they stop somewhere, and then some of them lay down, and two of them don't. They just sit. And as time's gone by, words got out about these monks, and people have been inspired by them. And I think at Christmas Eve, it was maybe, there were Christmas night or Christmas Eve. There were, you know, maybe like a couple of thousand people gathered in South Carolina. And then as they've continued, more and more people are gathering, thousands. So they had a football stadium with 10,000 people gathered, and this monk, they're very humble, very ordinary, actually, in some ways. And this senior monk, Venerable Panyakara, gives a very simple, clear Dhamma talk, you know, not teaching Buddhism, just teaching mindfulness and kindness and presence and peace, you know, advocating for peace in the country and in the world. So that's going on right now. And they're making their way to Washington, D.C. And it is interesting, you know, whilst, you know, thousands are gathered to all over the place now, actually, but to demonstrate in the streets, and thousands are also gathered inspired by this act of radical peacefulness that these monks are walking.
At the same time,
yeah,
it's almost phenomenal what's going on in the north, and they're heading toward Washington. They're in Raleigh right now, and every night he gives a talk.
Yeah.
You can just listen to it and just hear the basic, simple things that we can apply.
Yes.
They're giving a huge gift,
yes,
just by their example.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and part of what he keeps speaking about is one's phone, which he calls your lover.
Yes.
You go to bed with your lover next to you every night. It's the phone, you know. And it's like, spend less time with your lover and be clear about what, you know, when you're going to start attending and when you're not. Yeah. And then there's this amazing dog called Aloka, which means light. And Aloka was a rescue dog, and he happens to have a heart on his head naturally, a little white heart here. And then he's just really happy. He's a very happy little dog. I mean, he's not so little. And his tail is usually up, and it's like a pea. So somebody pointed out, he's got a heart in his head, and his tail makes a P for peace. So there's these wonderful beings also walking through the country. Yeah, and they, I think Venerable Panikara, the monk who's leading it, he was kind of blown away. He had no expectation whatsoever of having huge numbers of people coming out and being interested. He thought maybe 1,000 people might hear about it over the weeks, months. And he's just doing what was right, what felt right. And really keeping the ethics and intention clear. And it's just keeping on doing it, And then, not kind of getting wowed by fame or anything, just seemingly remaining a sort of humble Buddhist monk who's doing this radical thing for peace. All 19 of them, yeah.
When did they land?
When did they land? When will
To their
they?
location?
I think it's February 11th. This is the planned arrival time. Yeah.
I wonder how
It's
many
not so
people are
far.
going to show up. I hope a lot of Buddhist monastics
Yes.
from different traditions go.
Yes.
I keep hoping to see people from different lineages following them, but I haven't seen that yet.
I mean, they have stayed in.
Some of the churches, quite a few now, have opened up and are cooking meals for them.
Oh, what I
lovely.
meant is it would be cool to see the different Buddhist lineages
Yeah.
join them
Yeah.
I see.
in the walk.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not inviting people to join them. People have to walk behind. So I think people are coming out at some of the stops, but I think they're defining their own group, because there's lots of people who could jump on the bandwagon, now that they're famous, and so I think they're doing it that way. But maybe at the end there might be,
I hope so.
Me too.
I kind of want to go, actually.
Yeah, me too, but I probably won't.
It's amazing. It's gotten huge that way.
Yeah.
I think it's the largest Buddhist action marked in history in the United States.
The largest Buddhist
I don't
action
think
marked in
I've
history of the United
heard
States.
of anything else that's gained
Wow,
this much traction in the
That's
United States.
amazing.
Other monastics have done similar things, but they have gotten the
Oh, yeah.
largest attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something, they've got some timing and there's some brightness to them, and the dog helps. Having a cute dog.
Buddhists have the dog.
That's right, yes. Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah. So they're following, they've found what their work is right now at this time, and we all have to do that too. It'll look different for different people. But not to be, and that's I don't know, it's just such a beautiful symbol of not getting pulled into, not getting dragged down and pulled into the forces, that pull us in the wrong direction. So those qualities of hiri and ottappa. Please say them. Hiri.
Hiri.
It's H-R-I-R-I. Hiri. And ottappa. O-T-T-A-P-P-A. I think it's that one. Ottappa. Hiri and ottappa. These are the guardians of the world. So you can think of those if you're getting pulled into hatred. What does hiri point to? What would ottappa look like? And that might give you a pause and to see an alternative.